Don't understand why you're 40 years old and playing the game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop
Probably
playing games?
no
What's the age? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college?
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruise through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. But
Well, how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you can study and not play games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, then.
Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, the problematic white guy, and this is the Week in Culture, where we talk about the news of the week with regards to things happening in our culture that would be movies, TV shows, comics, and especially video games. Yeah, hi John, how you doing, man?
Oh, awesome as always, and I just got some great news. You wanted to see if I could get Toasty on the show today. It seems she's actually available. So yeah.
Well, I'll have to add her to my scene here, but I can do that.
Yeah.
Does she want to come on right now, or
she said, let me get ready real quick. So
okay, all right. I can prepare in the meantime.
Yeah, so we can wait talking about all that Mercanti stuff until
yeah. Here. We'll just add an additional let me see. We will just add a scene here, and I will put we'll call this guest scene and create new, and it's up and ready. We just gotta wait until let me see, the 1980 by 1920 by 1080. Control audio, hit OK, and then we'll just fill the screen with it. And when she gets here, I'll just add that to the scene that we're in. So it should work. Yeah. So let me just go ahead and do that now. What did I call it again? Guest. It's all right. It's these things happen.
Oh yeah. No, so while you're doing that, I guess I'll fill people in on the week that has been. Last week I had mentioned that Alyssa had come to a show while Toasty and I were streaming, and then we evidently broke her brain, and she's been completely unhinged over the course of the last week, which we'll get into later when Toasty arrives, because she kind of went completely batshit crazy this week, which is saying something because she really wasn't really standing on firm ground as far as that goes to begin with. But other than that, things are great. I'm up. I'm up like nearly 30 subs on my YouTube, in no small part due to Alyssa's shenanigans and and just doing a Streisand effect on her just to piss her off. Things are going really well. I've been up all night, just working on stuff. As you can see, I updated the PWG art on the thumbnail to match what I use here on the show. So no complaints. I think today's going to be really interesting. I don't know how much stuff you have about GDC, or if you had a chance to see that article that I just sent you about the marketing director from Valve.
No, you just sent it to me at the last minute. I do have a few things I want to go over, but I mean, if we have room for it, then we'll bring it in for sure. Okay, so let me know when she gets back to you.
Yep.
About joining the stream. I'm gonna make her video disappear for now, and then all you got to do is send her the link I sent you to get into the Video Ninja, and tell her the password, which you should not share here.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say you might need to send me the password again.
I'll send you the password again. When the time comes.
Because I just have it saved.
Where it remembers. Yeah. I'll just type it in.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
All right, there it goes. Okay, so Right. So let's get into the stories because there's a lot to cover. I want to say shout out to the people watching: John Ford, Stark of Iron, Saltpeter, Peter Taffy, Robert Johnson. Who else is watching? Norwegian Black Templar over on Rumble. What's up, Norwegian Black Templar? I'm glad that there are people watching on Rumble. Please follow my Rumble. Rumble's growing, guys. It's getting like it's really picking up steam now. A lot of people are moving over there. They're going to be adding shorts to Rumble so that you can like have viral content on mobile devices very soon. It's considering it's significantly smaller than like YouTube and Twitch.
To be fair, though,
the
value you get out of a Rumble account cannot be disputed. They take a smaller stipend on super chats, and you can do them right out of the gate without having to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole.
Yeah,
and on top of that, like when you do actually send a super chat donation through Rumble, you get twice as many characters. You could make your message twice as long, so your word goes further.
You're getting a better
value.
Yeah,
so in every way, shape, form, and you're not being auto censored by fucking
the YouTube algorithm,
chatbot.
right? Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the stories. Let's talk a little bit about Assassin's Creed Shadows because everybody's talking about it right now.
Yeah,
and I think that we just got to
better talk about it before the talk is dead, right?
Yeah. Well, I should at least give my thoughts on this because I'm not really sure if other people are talking about it in the same way that I might discuss it. I haven't watched everybody's content on this, but essentially, Assassin's Creed Shadows. So here's a rundown on the feedback, sales, stock prices, and critical reception. Okay, so the feedback from critics has been largely positive, though not without some caveats. On Steam, the game earned a very positive rating with 81% of 751 user reviews being favorable within hours of launch per Reuters, because we can totally trust Reuters. On PlayStation 5, it scored a 4.79 out of 5. Based on 1,834 ratings. Xbox Series X users gave it roughly 4.5 out of 5, according to posts on X and early platform data. Players have praised the dual protagonist approach, the immersive feudal Japan setting, and polished gameplay. All right, but this is like
polished
all of
gameplay?
these sort of they're calling it polished gameplay. This is all of the stuff that the marketing team, the marketing behemoth wants you to believe. But what is people like really been saying about it? Okay, so first of all, let's just say that anyone who's going to buy this game and play this game, regardless of all of the controversy and discussion, they were going to buy it no matter what. And that's kind of like the issue. These are culture junkies, okay? A culture junkie is a person that wants the new thing from the brand they like, and they will fight tooth and nail with anyone who has criticisms because they just really, really want the thing. They just want to enjoy their brand, and they will defend their brand. They'll defend the corporations, whatever, right?
Yep.
So from the people who are trying to be objective about it, and I've looked at a few people, not just people who are just hating on it or whatever, which I'm not against, like because like I personally stopped playing Assassin's Creed after Assassin's Creed 2. I didn't even play anything after that. I was done with Ezio Auditore. I would say that even then, even though a lot of people praise Assassin's Creed 2, and I think it's worthy of a lot of praise, even then it started to get a bit redundant with like you have to like find all the birds, like for example, or the feathers. I forgot what it was, but there were these ridiculous fetch quests that were just they were essentially there just to like expand the scope of the game.
Time.
Like look at how many hours it takes. You have to go find all the feathers. And it's just not my thing, Like I was playing I started playing the Resident Evil 4 remake. I've had it for a while, but I hadn't touched it till very recently. And I gotta say that game is very addictive. Now there's lots to do in it, but it doesn't feel like it's just artificially being like expanded just to be bigger. And I played the crap out of the original Resident Evil 4 that came out in like 2003 or whenever it was.
I'll be honest, with Assassin's Creed, I never played any of the Assassin's Creeds other than when I was doing QA testing. And the reason why is because I already know about Masonic history and all the kind of speculative conspiracy stuff.
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
sure,
Illuminati.
yeah.
It's like, for me, I was just like, I don't need to play this. Especially since I know it's probably going to be filtered and, go and do this thing. I looked at it as something that should be highly sus because, I often say there's more honesty in fiction than truth in the news. But then there's also people that use fiction as a way to, go and obscure the honesty and get it to where people be like, oh, that was just in a movie. I was in a video game. You're being crazy. And so, no, I never got into it, but I did like Metal Gear, which also kind of the same stuff. But.
Yeah, I didn't really care about what it got into. I didn't really know. I thought it was just going to be like a stealth action game, when I played the first one. And then when they got into the whole the machine that puts you back in time and all that science fiction, I thought, I don't need this. You didn't even do much in it. It was kind of extra. And I guess, I don't know if this is true, but some people say that story arc with the character, I think his name is Desmond, who's like the guy who's going into the machine. I don't think they ever really finished that. And Ubisoft just kept making games that had the Assassin's Creed name attached to it. But going back to this, so, my experience with Ass Creed is limited. I played 1 and 2 and I was done. I've heard mixed things about other ones. Some people swear by Black Flag. Some people did not like Assassin's Creed 3, for example. And then it went later on with Valhalla and Odyssey and Origins, where maybe, it just completely forgot it was a game about assassins, so that, all that is said, I have no investment in this. I wasn't planning on buying it no matter what, when it comes to, and I like a good fun stealth game. I did a whole ninja themed month here on my channel where I played lots of ninja themed games. But this was just not on my radar. Didn't really care. So I don't really have a dog in this race, no matter what. Yeah. But this is what the reviews have landed on. The game is essentially just mid. It's fine, and the things that were controversial are actually the things that did the most harm to it. So, which is essentially Yasuke. So you have two characters, Naoe and Yasuke. And from what I've heard, everyone loves the Naoe bits, except that sometimes they get boring, where there's a lot of story and there's slow parts. So there is an issue with pacing. There's an issue with repetition. Some people say it feels like you do the same stuff. It's like the loop is the same. Now, this isn't really different from, again, the first couple of Assassin's Creed games you played, where especially Assassin's Creed 2, which was definitely much larger than the first game. Where you you go into a town, you climb a tower, you send the hawk out, you see what's out there, you jump into the haystack, and then you go and find your marks or whatever. And that, there's that's a loop, right? You're gonna do that multiple times. And a lot of games, especially games that claim to be open world, they have the same problem. I had the same problem with Red Dead Redemption 2, where I know that people swear by that game, but sometimes a world can be so big that it's daunting and you're just you're kind of spending a lot of time riding from point A to point B.
Right. And that's kind of one of those things I think about GTA 6, even though I'm not going to buy it to begin with. It just seems like it's probably going to be one of those things where, it's when you end up just browsing Netflix for an hour and a half looking for something to watch.
Exactly.
Could have watched a movie.
From what I'm hearing, it's mid. And the Naoe bits, the way that a lot of people are talking about how the two protagonist mechanic works is essentially suggests that Yasuke was added on at the last minute. It was just an added on thing that came out in the wake of the Summer of Love with the fiery but mostly peaceful protests. Right. That is made clear by the gameplay and the way they write the character. So everybody in the world, this is the thing that's really funny about this. Everybody in the setting of Assassin's Creed acts like there's nothing remarkable about this black man, this African man in their country. That literally is one in the whole. He's the only one in the entire world, right? But nobody notices. They're just like, "Hey, man, what's up?" Essentially, and everyone treats him like another honorable warrior. They all have nothing but nice things to say about him. He's immediately likable. You know, for whatever reason, Nobunaga sees him as a man of honor. Like he's a Mary Sue. He's a male Mary Sue because they have to.
I believe they call those Harry stews.
Yeah, or well, I was gonna say Gary Stew is what a lot of people. But yeah, like the thing is that so you can see now Ubisoft is basically a French Canadian company. Okay, so French Canada. So Canada's woke, but French Canada is super woke. It's like extra woke. It's like a new level of liberal. So they are like, we have to make a statement. We're going to put a black guy in our game. How do we make that work? Somebody says, well, I Googled and I found out there was one black man that lived in Japan for a little while. And here's his name. Oh, great. We're going to cram him in there. And we're going to base his
George Floyd.
Yeah, we're going to make him look like George Floyd. We're going to add a little bit of this or that. And he's going to be a playable character. Oh, people are going to love this. We're going to be so virtuous when they see it. They're gonna think that we're the best people.
It'll be the first thing you encounter in the game because that's ostensibly like it's like the game starts with like him meeting Nobunaga and
Oda Nobunaga,
and then you go through that part of the game and then he's gone for ostensibly about 8 to 10 hours, depending on how fast you get through the next two things that you have to do. And from that point on, it's just a matter of like just choosing a skin in the, in the story mode.
I think that, so let me back up for a minute. And they're never going to admit this, okay? They'll never admit this in a million years because they have to double down on this decision because it was made in 2020. And at the time, they were certain this is what the fans wanted. They were certain this was for the modern audience, right? So they cannot. It is impossible for them to say, "Okay, we fucked up. We were never intended to do this." They will never do it. So what they did instead was, I think, what their original idea was to do something like there was an Assassin's Creed game that took place in the UK in the turn of the century. I don't remember what it's called. Syndicate. Thank you. Yeah, so Syndicate had a male and female character in it. I think they were
brother and sister, if I recall.
Yeah, they were. I think they were going to do something like that originally with 2 Japanese characters, and they were probably both going to be like ninjas, maybe with slightly different, abilities or different ways of playing. Now with Syndicate, they also, just as an aside, this is how I knew the game company was woke as fuck. They were doing this shit all the way back, like even the original Assassin's Creed. Because it simply like portrays the Crusaders, the Christians as the villains. That was like, and I wasn't a Christian back then, and I was like, no, this seems wrong. Like because I understood what Islam was, right? And I did my research on what the actual Crusades were, which is not what people are told, especially not fucking French Canadians would know.
Right.
So I knew it was an issue back then, but I think that go ahead.
And you have to remember that the original Assassin's Creed trilogy came out right after September 11th, and so it was all and that's why I said I never got into it. I read about it and I was like, all right, well, this seems like this is going to be something to kind of muddy the waters and kind of like cloud people's minds on all these kinds of things. So I know that this game was intended to be a boss bitch kind of thing.
For sure. Like I said, they did that with Odyssey. I think they may have done that with Valhalla. There was like there was definitely elements of that in those games already.
Yes.
So this is how it works, guys. Like every game they make, like it's a woke company because they make a game and it has a little bit of something that seems a little bit out of place, but people go, well, it's just a one-off, and then they sort of like forget about it. And then that becomes normalized, and then they make their next product, and then they do it a little bit more, and people go, well, I mean, that's really, And so, but when somebody catches on, when somebody engages their pattern recognition, and they say, no, this is wrong, you guys are doing something that I don't like, I have problems with this, then what they do is they call you a racist or a sexist until you shut up. And until you say, no, that's not going to work on me. And I got to say this because I see this a lot, even attempting to reposition it to make them look like the racists is giving them a win because you're accepting their framework. You have to not accept the framework. You just have to say, it's okay for me to not like this. That's it. Like I don't have to give you an excuse. I don't have to give you a reason. And that's it. Like they can't, because then if they can't call you a bigot, then they have nothing else because they can't call you a liar. So that's all they can do is call you a bigot. So if you don't respond to that, if that doesn't work, then they have nothing. And that's why you have to respond that way. So going back to this, people were not responding to this well, and it's evident in the gameplay. Unless they're delusional and lying to themselves, okay? The entire Yasuke thread of missions and gameplay, he is essentially unstoppable. He is a power fantasy. He is like a tank that goes through everything.
Well,
So
he's on fentanyl, so
they made they made him invulnerable effectively. They made him easy mode.
Yeah.
Why? Because they didn't know what to do with it, except they can't be racist themselves by making it like possible that he could like break a law or be disliked or have people look at him funny because he's like an African guy in feudal Japan. No, instead, everyone acts like he's not there. And then when he has to fight people, it's okay. Nobody can stop him. Like I saw a clip.
A lot of people affirm him left and right.
Yeah, they affirm him. Yeah, they're all just like, oh, yeah, I bow to you. You know, oh, very big penis. Me have small penis. You know, like
right.
That's like and then on top of that, and this is the thing that's funny because, you know, people talk about how. Have you heard anything from Toasty yet? By the way.
Yeah. She. I sent her the link. I think it got her possibly down in the window below us.
She is in here.
Yeah,
she is in here.
Yeah.
Wait.
You were just making a point, so I was going to wait.
Oh
until
no, it's okay. Hi, Toasty. How you doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can, yes, but the audience cannot.
Yeah.
So I gotta add your sound to my OBS. Hold on.
Yeah.
So that
while you're doing
you.
that, I'll do a little bit of riffing because I've seen video clips of the cinematics, and they are very poorly animated, to say the least. There is a lot of LGBTQ plus agenda, fan service in there. I'm sure you've probably seen the scene of Yasuke looking at the screen when he's about to make out with his non-binary boyfriend. Because it's gay with extra steps character right there, and everything about it, when Outlaws came out, everybody was like, man, the stealth on this is so terrible that they ultimately ended up taking out of the game, right? They're like, why didn't they just use the stealth from Assassin's Creed? They did. I watched videos of people playing this, and it's the exact same thing. You can go and hide behind a patch of grass that's just sticking up out of the ground and in a relatively open field, and completely evade someone. And they're like, where did they go?
With Outlaws? Yeah, for sure.
No, with this.
Oh, with this. Oh, yeah, sure.
With
yeah,
this.
It's the same. Well, why would you need to like reinvent the wheel, even if it is to improve things?
It's a top-down level
corporation. They're just gonna like copy paste all the stuff.
Yeah, it's all just skin jobs. So
yeah. Toasty, do you want to be on camera or no?
I don't look so nice.
That's all right.
Okay.
I wish I could just pull up a photo.
You can change in here. You can add I think you can like make an avatar and put an avatar up, or you could just send me a picture and I'll put it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, just send me a something. But like no, the people can hear you now. So
hi guys. Hi chat.
Yeah.
Toasty.
Hi.
It was quite nice to get your confirmation that you could actually be here today. Like,
yeah,
it was literally right as the show was starting. So
yeah. If you send John something, an image, I'll just use it as a placeholder.
Yeah. I do have the image files that you sent me that I used for the thumbnail. If you want me to send them that, Toasty.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So anyway, back to this. And let me know when you've sent it, John, because I'm not looking at my.
No, don't worry. No,
So,
don't worry.
Sorry, it was last minute because I am going on another live panel, and the thing is that if this person, his thing, he went by PST, and I'm Eastern Standard Time, and so I had to like see what that was, and that's 2 p.m. for me.
Yeah. Oh, when you said 11, I thought you meant 11 Eastern. I was like, oh, it's the same time that we go live. So those silly Pacific, those people in Pacific time zone, they think the world revolves around us. No.
So you're at 11. So you got a thing at 11 a.m. Pacific. So that's like
3 hours from
or something.
Yeah.
No.
Like for us it would be, let's see, 2, 3, 4. It'd be 5. It'd be 5 in the afternoon. On the East Coast.
I'm sorry to say, but no other time zone matters. Only Eastern matters. Because everyone goes by Eastern.
It is the lead.
It's
that's
true.
That's why I always put like whenever I post videos, I always put the Eastern time zone first, and then I'll do the calculation. But yeah, it makes more sense. I'm sending
relevant.
Yeah, I'm sending you the image now. It should be in there.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, it should be a PNG file.
Okay,
so.
I see it. Yes. All right, this will work just fine. And close that. All right.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You use OBS, and then you use this to stream it out to different.
That's right. That's right. That's
fucking
right.
OBS. I hate OBS. I get pissed off whenever I hear someone says they use it.
Yeah.
It's an acquired taste. You definitely it is a lot more manual, but it's kind of one of those things that once you set it, well, I'd say you could set it and forget it, but then again, you do still have to do maintenance on it and this and that from time to time. But it's just like a manual speed car, you know, like you got to tinker with it a little bit, but it's yours. You got like more control. But I think that what you do with EVMU is more your speed, and it works really well for what we do over on the Goon Squad on Toasty's channel.
All right, I got the face in there now. So all right, well, thank you for joining us on here, and we're just talking about the sales numbers for Assassin's Creed Shadows, as well as their stock. I was going to get into their stock and where it's at. So let's see. Well, first of all, they're boasting really good engagement. Lots of people playing the game. Of course, whenever a game launches, there's always like a spike in engagement for that game. But it's not looking like it's as great as they had hoped. Or at least like what they would need. I think that they said like 4 million people are playing. Where it says early indicators suggest a solid start tempered by high expectations. Ubisoft announced the game reached 1 million players on release day per tip ranks, but this includes anybody who has a Ubisoft Plus premium subscription, which gives you the game, right? So engagement is what they're measuring, not necessarily profits.
Engagement dollars once again.
Yeah, and the game is full price. And one of the other things is that, the Steam numbers are comparing the sales of this game on launch day compared to other games that were released that same day that are much smaller, like indie games that cost a lot less, $10, $20, and whatever's on sale. So if you look at it that way, you can create the illusion that the game is doing well. Plus, considering the game has they're saying it's like a $250-300 million budget. But that usually is like half of what they are actually spending.
Right.
When you consider the amount of times the game was pushed back, which did not, by the way, save it from jankiness, because there is a lot of people saying that it's pretty janky, as well as the marketing, which is usually like the cost of the development. Again, it's like double, and there's been a lot of marketing.
They also had to do a last-minute day zero patch because of Japan, and all the stuff that happened with the Prime Minister this week.
Yeah,
and so they had to make a whole bunch of objects non-destructible because they were looking at like getting sued by a nation
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah.
You know,
And
so
they
yeah.
also tried to use a nation to, combat like people who would dare to give it bad reviews. The
Right.
Canadian government was supposedly, going to be throwing lawsuits at streamers that gave it a bad review because they were going to call it harassment. And of course, we all know that Canada is the best when it comes to things like freedom of speech. So I don't know. What do you think about this scenario?
You asking?
Toasty?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
I'll ask Toasty first since she's the guest.
Yeah.
What do you think
Yep.
about all this?
I think Canada isn't even a real country, so their opinions are irrelevant. And I'm not
the
surprised.
51st state, the 51st state.
Oh please!
That's what they call it. That's what they call me.
Oh my god! I don't want them as our.
I don't want
They
them,
could keep
yeah,
it
I
as
don't
their
want
own
them
little
I don't
country.
want that either. I don't want that either.
I don't think a lot of us do. But I think some of us do just to piss them off. But anyways, I'm not surprised though. Isn't he like a gay samurai?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so gay.
Doesn't he get with a non-binary ninja or something warrior?
Well,
I don't know.
A non-binary male geisha.
Oh
Yeah.
And
From what I understand, there's like
there's a whole bunch of gay relationships.
6 possible relationships, and like
All
5
gay.
of them are gay, and one of them is with like Nobunaga's daughter. So the one that's heterosexual
which is also
is
profane
actually
as fuck.
which I think Grums pointed out. He gave us a little bit of a history lesson about that, which
Osaka
suggested
filled us in on that because like we had her on Will of Fans this week since she's actually lives in Japan, and she gave us her take on it. And yeah, many people in Japan were definitely not pleased that they would suggest that someone who was a servant would be like sticking it to the Lord's daughter. Like
yeah. And
Maybe-
male geisha, I've never heard of that. From what I know or what I thought, geishas were always women.
Right.
not?
This is you have to understand, Toasty. This is a non-binary.
Suck my ass with that shit.
Right. So it's a dude. It's a dude in a kimono, but pretending that he's not a dude in a kimono.
well, geishas are not First of all, geishas are not necessarily prostitutes.
No.
There's a conflation. Geishas were sort of like bards or entertainers, like
I was about to
minstrels.
say that.
And so, first of all, there's that. It doesn't necessarily imply sexual favors or sexual like prostitution. The other thing is that there were male geishas, but that was again because they were a kind of entertainer or assistant or servant or something. So male geishas did exist, but generally, we think of them as female.
Yeah. Now I don't know if the character is actually like a full blown like geisha in
prostitute.
The game. Well,
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because it's not wearing like the makeup or anything like that in the scene where Yasuke and him are making out, but it is done up like like a very feminine kimono. I'm pretty sure it's pink and blue or pink and turquoise rather. So I mean it is what it is, and that's the scene where like Yasuke gives a like he breaks the fourth wall, looks right into the camera like, yeah, we're about to do this shit. And yeah, it's sad.
So one other thing I'll say about this that I think is pretty interesting, other than all of the ways that Ubisoft managed to shit on Japanese culture, Japanese history, gamers, and all that. Well, first of all, it's doing worse numbers than Dragon Age: The Veilguard on PC. So it comes down to what are the console gamers going to do? Now, I don't know that the console gaming is even as like as big as it used to be, but I don't really have high hopes for Assassin's Creed Shadows,
I believe
in terms of numbers.
I'm pretty sure it's a day one Xbox X Pass play as well. So like, because
Really?
they're doing I'm pretty sure that it is, because they're doing everything they can to spin the engagement. Like yesterday when they made that press release saying that they had 1 million plays, they literally dropped authentication keys for the Ubisoft play service. And they're like, oops. And so, yeah, you can see that it's like they don't care about selling this to you. They care about selling it to their investors so they can, stem more time from the hostile takeover that will be Tencent ultimately taking over the company. And they are relying on this. It has to do well enough that they can actually keep their other stakeholders, moving their revenue cycling forward. Otherwise, they're done. And Tencent's going to strip it off for parts and just, do with it as they choose to. So they're completely caught up, as we were saying, like it's all about the engagement and anything that they can push under those terms. So it's going to be a shit show, which is why it's important to talk about it now, because it's going to be just like Veilguard. Like in 6 months, within 6 months, it will be free to keep on PSN, I would imagine. As just like they did with Veilguard 4 months after it released.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I was going to add to this as well is that, so like what they did in terms of like the sort of, woke content of the game, which a lot of people don't want to talk about. And I find it kind of annoying. Like I don't mean like the people in our corner of the internet. I know that we don't have a problem talking about this stuff, but a lot of people who know it's wrong. Like they know something's wrong with it. They know that there's like, social conditioning and cultural Marxism at play. They have to, but they want to avoid it because they don't want to be seen as bad people, which is part of the problem. You're not a bad person because you have an opinion on this stuff and that you are observing what's happening. But the thing that I think is going to backfire for Ubisoft potentially is this idea of not just putting a black samurai in the game, but making him gay. Because that's not like, okay, there is, I grew up in Chicago, and I've been around like, blacks and Latinos my whole life. And what I know about them culturally is that there is like a very conservative streak in them. They don't really care for the gay shit. Latinos are a little bit more tolerant about that than blacks are. But blacks are some of them the least tolerant of alternative lifestyles. They're generally a conservative group of people.
They are.
And exactly. So if you put a black samurai in the game, you're going to get some of the black identitarians going, oh yeah, we was samurai and shit. But when you make him gay, you're going to turn him off completely. No, not like that. That's what they're going to say.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
They don't like that at all.
No, they don't. No.
Very displeased.
And so this is the thing like that they're running into is that they have made this mistake. Intersectional feminism, which is what we're ultimately talking about, has made this mistake of thinking that everyone who is not a cis, straight, white male is all on the same team. Like everybody that isn't that is on this team over here, where all of the minorities and the gays and the transes and the queers and the, Latinos and the whatever, that's where they're all on the same side and they all share the same values. And it's a big mistake that they're making. Now, I'm not going to call it racist because that would be me giving their arguments credibility. So I won't do that. But what I will say is that they do not actually understand how people work. They think that just, it's all about based on this set of ideas, this narrow belief in what non-white, straight, cisgendered men are like. And so these racial identitarian blacks that would totally be down for a black samurai game, especially if he's like an invulnerable tank that can like take out anybody in his path, they're not going to like the gay shit. They're going to hate that actually. And then hopefully, here's what I hope that comes out of this. What I hope will happen is they will start to realize that their blackness that's being used by these companies that create our media, whether it's film or television or video games or music or whatever, that they're just being useful idiots. They're being used as tools to push division in every part of our society, and that they actually don't give a fuck about them because they're black. Right? They don't like that. Like they don't give a fuck about me because I'm Latino. They don't give a fuck about Tootsie because she's a woman. They don't give a fuck about that. They only care about power, and they use your insecurities, if you have any, and your narcissism to get it. So I think that this game should be rejected by everybody, carte blanche. I know that there are culture junkies out there that will play it no matter what it has because they want the new thing. But those people should be mildly ridiculed out of doing that because we need to starve these companies. Like this is not even like John already explained. Okay, you already explained that, and we already know the reason why these franchises continue is because despite how much they claim they spend on them, they just take the engine, they copy paste it, and then they put a new skin on it and say it's a new game. So it's not even like they're investing that much effort into making a good video gaming experience. What they're really doing is they're trying to alter the culture. You know, it's like I've always said, the video game industry, especially the AAA gaming industry, wants desperately to be like Hollywood. They want to be the new Hollywood. And Hollywood was all about social conditioning from the beginning. Okay, from the beginning. That doesn't mean that you couldn't enjoy good stories. I think stories are really important. I think that we need them in our culture. We can't not have them. But we can't have like ideologues controlling the culture because they're going to try to use it to change our belief systems and turn it against our own nature. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that.
Well, as you recall, this is something that I think I wrote about a year ago because we've been doing the show now for getting close to a year, actually. And I wrote this then, but it still applies now. To change the language, yes, is what it's called. And it says to change language, to create the debate, to undermine the culture, to revise the history, to alter the facts, to change the language, and the cycle just keeps on going. You know, it's just the steps. But
so let's look at Ubisoft's stock real quick.
Yeah. So
they are in trouble. They've dropped down by 7% on Steam. The game, I mean, time will tell if the game does well, but I don't.
Well, yesterday on Steam, it peaked up to 40,000 players and then started to dip. I don't know if it's gone back up since then, but it plateaued out and then started going down.
Yeah, this is yesterday. So, well, this is from yesterday when Grum shared this post.
Right.
And so we will have to see. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Master Goa says, unfortunately, the 13% are 90% Democrat. That's why their community is a mess. As such, they will just consider Yasuke on the down low and won't be as upset as they should be. I think that's another thing, though. Like, I think that, well, I don't want to get into too much of a political discussion here because it's not primarily what this channel is about. But I think that Black men are starting to realize that what has always been the real issue that they have to wrestle with is their masculinity being under attack, which is really not just the masculinity of Black men. It's just masculinity in general across the board, which is what remember last week I talked about Anthony Mackie's comments about his sons. And I said, he's right, but he's limiting this to just Black men. It's a problem of masculinity in itself. And as long as we think of it as Black men or Latino men or white men or whatever, we're not going to get to solve this problem because then like that first part is always going to be an obstacle. And really it's just men. Like that's what, like, you know, you want to talk about fatherlessness. You want to talk about how that is harmful to a child, whether it's male or female. You want to talk about how the welfare state essentially incentivizes that in women to be single moms. And we don't ever like, you know, actually like hold women accountable when they choose to make these bad life decisions because we incentivize. It's like, well, if you have a baby, you don't let them see their father, we'll give you money. That's what the government says. And so women go, well, shit, I'll take the money. Like, I can't blame them for that. But of course, it results in poorer outcomes for their children. And this has gone on for a number of generations now.
Yep.
So now you have like 3 generations of men who don't know their fathers, their grandfathers, or their great-grandfathers. They don't know where they came from. They have no connection to their lineage. And they're going to be destructive because there's nobody there that says this is what you model yourself after, you know? Master Goa says their masculinity is under attack by their liberal feminist nature. Yes. Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's feminism. Zerang says there's also the pervasive idea that black men are less threatening if we're openly gay. It rides along with the line of progressive projection that black men are primarily thugs. Yeah, well, they I get that. That's another way to do it, but ultimately they will do that with all men. And we're going to get into that later on in the show. I'm going to talk about this show called Adolescence that's on Netflix right now. That is exactly the thing that's happening. And I think it was super important to talk about. So I don't know. Toasties, does any of this make you uncomfortable, or you chill with all that I just said?
No, I think you're pretty much right. I feel like woke blacks don't care about nobody else other than themselves, but until something starts affecting their community, then they start, I mean, it's taken them a long time to figure out that their skin color is being used as a pawn.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. Cuz I feel like when you're a woke black, not to say that they could never change, because I've seen it before. I've seen plenty of black guys or black people be like, I used to be on the left, now I'm on the right. But there's some blacks that they really want to be victims. They really want to be victims. And so, I feel like with those people, they just want everything handed to them just because of their skin color, right? And they have to know that nobody cares about them.
Right.
And I don't even know if that they know that and they don't care. They want to play victim, or that some of them, don't know that and are very naive.
I think some of them are very willfully naive, Toasty. Like they don't.
You mean how some black people don't know how to use computers? Have you guys ever seen that video?
Yes. The white knight.
They don't know how to get a driver's license.
ID.
Yeah.
ID. Use computers.
The bigotry of low expectations, as Gary calls it over on Nerdrotics channel.
Yeah,
but it's been happening,
first, right? The soft bigotry of low expectations. You know who said that first?
God, I know you mentioned it here on the show before, but I can't say his name right now. But
George W. Bush.
Yes.
It's one of the few things he said that I was like, oh, I agree with that.
But if you think about it, it's the whole demasculine. I can't say certain words. Emasculating black men started in the 90s.
Yeah. And oddly enough,
for sure.
And oddly enough, what Toasty had mentioned also started in the 90s. Like all the way back in South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, they had Operation Get Behind the Darkies, which is ostensibly what all this identity politics is like, using them as a human shield, to protect their ultimate interests. It's like the signs are there for anybody who wants to pay attention to it. And that's why I say I think that a lot of them are willfully naive, especially the college-educated black women who comprise the largest section of society going to college and graduating these days, which that's kind of par for the course when they're getting all the advantages that you were mentioning.
Yeah. So let's do final thoughts. So there's a couple things I just want to quickly go through. So I want to get your final thoughts. I'll start with Toasty and then you, John.
Of course.
First of all, do you think that Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to break even or maybe exceed expectations? Second of all, do you think that in light of that, will Ubisoft end up selling its company, or at least parts of it or some of its properties, because that's also on the table if this fails, to Tencent, who is looking to buy? And thirdly, do you think that was Tencent's plan all along? So I leave it to you, Toasty. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know shit about video games, but it looks like it's not doing so good.
That's putting it nicely. Yeah.
Yeah.
A flop. Failure. Two thumbs down.
2 thumbs down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I give it 2 black samurais, but you can also pick up, if you're interested, Yasuke Simulator is probably going to blow the fuck up. I want to look at those numbers when that game comes out.
Yeah, it's less than 5. It's out. It's out. You can get it right now for $350. It's on sale. Introductory sale.
For $350?
Yep.
You can get it for $350.
Yeah. And then then the Loch Ness monster shows up to make more South Park
Oh
references.
no, dude! I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah,
350. Fuck it.
yeah. No,
That's
Honey
like a
Badger's not
cheeseburger.
nice to make fun of black folks like that.
I
350.
didn't make the game. I think it's $350 is a good price for Yasuke Simulator.
I was watching Smash JT play it last night, and
He was playing it.
Yeah, he was playing it.
Oh.
You actually go into Japan on a fucking bullet train.
Oh my god.
It is so great. Yeah. Like it's got like unfinished environments and all this kind of
What
stuff.
a time to be alive.
Yeah. Like it is put together in such a way. Like it plays a lot like old GTA Vice City. And it is pure comedy gold in terms of its satire. But let's see. What were the exact questions you were asking about?
I was just saying, like, how well do you think it's going to sell? Do you think that they're going to sell any of their properties, or like, and if Tencent's going to buy up some of Ubisoft, and so, it was that their plan all along?
Okay, all right, yeah. I've mentioned this when we've talked about it before here in various ways, but I do not believe that it can meet an actual, customer model kind of form of actually doing anything valuable and attainable. However, it is kind of like the Madden of action adventure games. It just comes out, every few years. It's a new update, but it's the same game ostensibly. So it might be able to eke just enough to get them their engagements if they spin everything appropriately. But I don't know. It might be too little too late in that regard. Of course, if they do not do well on this, Tencent is going to just do a takeover anyway and get rid of the Guillemot family. Probably mispronouncing it a little bit, but I'm not French. I do think that ultimately, they were doing this as the last ditch effort. Like there was no way that they could wait any longer than now to put it out, because there is the looming threat of the hostile takeover. But I have mentioned it before, for other reasons. I think that this was always the idea, was to offload the company to Tencent, because of the things that I've mentioned here in the past about them being directly connected through the Rockefeller Foundation to the WF and the United Nations through that funding model that I wrote about a year ago when GDC was going on at that time. So I think that it's in their best interest ultimately to give up the company to Ubisoft, because they don't want to have their everything looked into, because that's when a lot of their extreme DEI practices will come to light. Because if they get investigated, they're going to have to give over their slacks, conversations, the this and that, the everything. And given that they also have like a history with, I guess, treating women quite poorly at the office, the three of the top heads of the production leadership are all in court cases right now over in France for some very heinous things. And every company that got caught up in kind of like the Me Too movement, rightly or wrongly, has had to pay the DEI tax heavily, which is part of the reason why Ubisoft is the way that it is now. But also that's from the scene where he makes out with the male.
Yeah, I know.
So I think that this was always kind of the plan to offload the company, and just they'll get a golden parachute for the people that are up top that have remained. They want to try to maintain day-to-day management, and if they were able to do that, they would have already sold it. But Tencent's like, well, you kind of rat fucked your entire company, so there's no way they're going to keep you around. So
well, I think that's right. And I think that depending on how far the stock falls, Tencent may sweep in and buy them up.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. So let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. I'm going to move on to the next story. This one, I bet Tosi will have some things to say about. I don't know you, but I think I know like what you might have. You might have some words.
Fucking disgrace.
Yeah. Toasty definitely knows about this
I'm
topic.
sure. Okay, so because you say you don't know about video games, but I bet you know about movies, and you probably know about Snow White. So the Snow White remake came out this weekend, right? I think it launched yesterday.
just on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. We won't have the numbers for the opening weekend until Monday, and even then, we might want to seek out like additional references and resources to make sure that we're not being misled. But
There's gonna be a lot of spinning with this
first of all, has anyone here seen the Snow White remake?
Oh,
I'm planning to, but on my TV on a certain website.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Not paying no money for this shit.
Do you do reviews? Is that what you do on your channel?
No. We spill the tea. We
Fuck
talk about
no,
the
we
clown-
talk shit
clown
live.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So talking shit live. I wonder how popular that is.
Yeah. Well, Brian, I try to do something different on every channel that I'm on, and Toasty's where I go to just kind of talk about the clown show society that is reality, and just yeah. Great.
So okay, so I haven't seen it. Obviously, I have no interest in it. But do you guys know what the plot is for the new Snow White? Because I have it here.
Yes.
Speaking of tea, let's spill it. Okay, so here is a plot summary of the 2025 live-action Snow White film, including spoilers, based on whatever details we have available as of now. Okay,
Brian,
so
you can't spoil what's already rotten.
Yes, I guess not. But if anybody here was planning on watching Snow White in theaters and was gonna shell out $20, without paying for parking or popcorn, in the chat, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna spoil the movie for you. So hopefully I will save you some money. So okay, let me ask you this: have you guys seen the original 1937 Snow White?
Oh, of course,
from Disney. And
I have, but I was a kid when I saw it.
Yeah.
Did you
but
like it?
I kind of yeah. But I know what happens. Of course.
I hope we know. Yeah.
And
right.
you know what? It isn't like this is a brand new princess or anything. This is the very first Disney princess. So I think
yes,
it bothers a lot of people. She's iconic. She's the first one ever. So
yeah,
people are bothered by it.
Yeah, and I think and rightfully so, is what I think. I mean, when they did, what was the first remake that they did? I think it was Cinderella or something, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're talking about the live action remake. Yeah,
the live action remake.
Yeah, it was either Cinderella. It was either Cinderella or Beauty and the Beast. It was one of the two. I can't remember.
No, I think Cinderella's came first, and then Maleficent may have come, which is essentially a remake of Sleeping Beauty.
Right.
From the perspective of Maleficent,
Right.
So
she was wronged.
Yeah, because she was done wrong by a man, and that's got to be the backstory. So because that's always the backstory. So go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out which one was the first live action ever Disney. It says Aurora. So Sleeping Beauty.
Was it called Aurora?
Yeah. Live action
that would be
Disney
Sleeping
princesses.
Beauty.
Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, 2014, then Cinderella, then Belle, Jasmine, and
okay. So they're just doing it in order of you're going by the order of princesses. The movie was called Maleficent, and it starred Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. So
this is a movie called Aurora, I think.
Is it? I think that's the name of the girl who is in Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, really? I don't know why they didn't put the movie title instead of the princesses, but yeah, I believe it was Maleficent.
Yeah. Then okay, so we know that this pattern has been there since the beginning, right? They every one of these Disney live action remakes does a little something subversive. It adds a little, and every time they do it, they add a little bit more, especially if it's one that features a princess. For example, they remade The Jungle Book, but The Jungle Book didn't really have anything it was pretty unoffensive, but also pretty bland. It was one of those "why does this movie exist" type of things. Which is basically all the live action remakes are just a way for Disney to keep the rights to the story. So they just remake the movie so they keep the rights. That's all it is, right?
Right. Which
Well,
there's
they
better
may
ways
as
about going
well.
about doing that. They could just get the original cells and then
See,
update.
what they used to do back in the day when I was growing up, they used to re-release them in theaters.
Oh
So they
yeah,
would say, we're going to put Bambi in theaters again, or we're going to put
Right.
Dumbo in theaters again, and
Right.
make it
Out
into
of
a
the
big
vault.
thing. Yeah, take it out of the vault, put it in theaters, and then put it back in the vault.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because now people own copies of the movies, or they can watch them on Disney
Right.
Plus or whatever.
And Will and I talked about this the other day when we were doing stuff on his channel. We were saying, they could have just taken the original cells, film cells, or even
Yeah.
the original print master, and just updated it all. Like go through, like just
Excuse me.
make it a new print ostensibly, in 4K, but based on the original artwork. Clean up the audio, do all the stuff, and then put it out that way. That way they could even call it a new production. But
but then they miss out on the opportunity to change the story to fit
right, exactly,
a modern audience. That's what this really comes down to, at least for
right.
a lot of the people in the middle. So you have like the bean counters at the top that just care about the profits, and so they're like, well, we want to hold on to the license because it's worth money, but we should re-release the film, and that's that. Their goal is simply to hopefully keep the license and make a profit.
Right.
But then you have the people in the middle that are like the activists that are like, well, we want this to be a feminist
Our
movie.
opportunity.
And then, so that's what they've done it with every single remake that has women in it has become a feminist remake. Every single one of them. Right. So this one is no different. In fact, this is probably the most egregious one yet. So let me read you guys the summary and let me know if you guys want to jump in and say something, just go ahead. So the film opens with a backstory. Snow White is born during a snowstorm. Mm-hmm. That's where she gets her name. So it's not because her skin is white, because obviously Rachel Zegler is not white.
She's Sandy Brown.
Whatever the fuck white even means anyway. But she is. It was because she's so tough. So she was born during a snowstorm, which earns her name as a symbol of resilience. Her parents, a benevolent king and queen, raise her to be fearless, brave, true, and fair, values engraved on a necklace that she wears. So, and here's the thing about the society that her parents run, okay? There's a song in it about how nobody owns anything and everyone shares everything equally with each other. What does that sound like, guys? Like, that's her society. It's a communist
utopia.
Yeah, it's a communist utopia. That's the world, the fantasy world they live in, legitimately. And everyone in the communist utopia that is governed by this benevolent king and queen, they don't believe in owning things. They just give each other stuff, like, whatever, man,
It's all cool.
Yeah. After her mother dies of illness and her father remarries a mysterious noblewoman played by Gal Gadot, the king departs to fight a war and never returns. So for some reason, this utopia did not have any doctors that were available. They must have been in line waiting for their appointment.
Well, I hope they let immigrants in their castle.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, Brian, they couldn't do any medical work because all the tools were being used by the blacksmith.
Yeah, exactly. They do. Again, everybody just has access to everything. So anyway, so the king remarries, and he remarries Gal Gadot's character, who's the evil queen. The king departs to fight a war and never returns. The new queen, revealed as a powerful enchantress, usurps the throne, turning the kingdom into a dystopia marked by poverty and oppression. So Gal Gadot's evil queen is literally a fascist. That is, there's a song about her concerns about the people south of their borders.
Do you think they had the balls to make a Trump play through a woman?
Well, I mean, she's not a woman if she's a fascist. Like, then now they're basically not people, right?
Right. Well, no. What I'm saying is, like, Gal Gadot is just ostensibly, like the evil wit, the evil queen is effectively going. I mean, I'm just speculating here because, like, I knew they were going to do some shit like what's in there, but I'm like, I wonder how far they're going to go. Are they going to put it on the nose and be like, yeah, Trump's a fascist, and like like anybody
Well, they
does
don't.
this.
I mean, it's about as explicit as it gets without being like without spelling it out.
Right,
I
right,
mean,
right.
Gal Gadot is a villain because she cares about borders.
Right.
She she apparently she redistributes all of the wealth of the city to herself. So she's like, and I'm like, well, yeah, but like nothing belongs to anybody though. Like,
right.
So what are you gonna do? Like, she's not sharing. She's keeping. She's giving it to herself. She's basically like stealing. I guess that's what Trump is doing.
Right. Now, does anybody find it weird though too that like this in this communist utopia, they're still like having to fight the war? Or is that because like she has enchanted the king to make him think that it's important to like and just to get him to fuck off and go out and die in the battlefield? But how do you have communist utopia, but also we're fighting war, but we don't care about borders? And it seems like it doesn't even seem like the story matches up. Like the elements of it.
Well, they don't need to make it make sense. They just need to like get it. They just want to get it to the point where they get to make their case for communism.
It's about the message.
Basically. Yeah, that's all it is. It's about the message that has to come first. And the thing is, these people think that you're stupid. Like they think that you're not going to ask these questions. They really think you're stupid. Like this is something that Thomas Sowell has written about for decades and decades about how these people, they're elitist. I think they're smarter than everybody. They think that they know what's best for other people and that they're doing them a favor by essentially like, saying that they should be allowed to own shit. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so what was I? Oh yeah, this is just the backstory. So now we actually get into the plot of the movie. So years later, Snow White, now a young woman, is reduced to a scullery maid. The evil queen, obsessed with being the fairest, consults her magic mirror, which declares Snow White surpasses her, not just in beauty, because we can't be talking about attractiveness, but in inner fairness and compassion. Inner fairness. So like in the original movie, Jojo, what's up? Oh, he's dreaming. My dog, his tail's hitting the door because he was dreaming.
All right.
Yeah, he's all right. I thought
she believes in equity and being affirmed, ostensibly.
Yeah, but in the original story, this is the thing. Like, I don't know if that they missed this because I watched the original Snow White not that long ago because I knew that this one was coming out and I wanted to be able to talk about both of them.
Right.
The thing about Snow White that makes her appealing, she is physically more beautiful, and that says more about there's a lesson that women could probably learn about being jealous and envious of other women, which is what that story was exploring, which is why the evil queen is evil, because she is concerned with being like the most high status, the most attractive, the most desirable woman, even though she literally doesn't need those things because she's a fucking queen of a country, but it's still not enough, right? And Snow White is more than just beautiful, but most importantly, she's humble. And that's the thing that's why she was, a maid that's cleaning in the castle, but she still takes joy in everything, right? She's somebody who never regrets her position. She never is resentful, okay? This is a quality that like only Snow White has in that movie. All the other characters have flaws. That's why every dwarf has like a shtick, right?
A name,
their names are based on their
foibles.
They're little idiosyncrasies and all that. And the prince in that movie is really nothing. Like he's just the guy. He's like a plot device, right?
He's just there.
He's just there, right? He shows up in the beginning and then he shows up at the end. He doesn't do anything really. And it's fine because it's not his story, right?
Yeah.
It's Snow White's story. And so like the thing that makes Snow White appealing is that she is overtly feminine, which these modern feminists hate, or feminists in general hate it, but like especially today. She is compassionate. She loves unconditionally. Everybody likes her, including the forest animals, because she's good to them. And most importantly, she's humble. She's extremely humble, right? And that's what pisses the queen off more than anything. And I think the mirror even tells her that in the original movie. So it's not, the mirror was never about like the surface level. although the
Right.
surface level was still a reflection of her inner self, right? But
Right.
today we have to make everything about like the internal because we have all this body positive stuff now, and like, you know, there's no such thing as ugly, like unless you're talking about men, of course. You know, every woman is a 10. You guys have seen that on the internet, right? Like
Oh,
we're all
God.
10s.
Yeah, they know they're lying their fucking asses off when they say that.
That's why it's
So,
nice to have a base Latina around to talk about this
Yeah.
stuff.
They look, you know, they're looking at each other and thinking in their heads like, "Bitch, please."
Yeah, but they're putting on a show to make them. It's still competition because they're not. They're
Right.
obviously lying about complimenting the other women, but they're also complimenting themselves on how gracious they are. Look at me. I'm not calling you ugly because of how good a person I am. So
Right.
it's still competition. It's just coming out a different way.
Right.
Okay, but anyway, enraged, the queen orders a huntsman to kill her stepdaughter. Snow White flees into the forest where she's rescued by a group of bandits led by Jonathan, a cynical thief with a hidden noble streak. So they changed the story. And here's another thing. I think that this is reflecting like the changes that came after those original photos leaked because there were a bunch of reshoots, right? So I think originally there were not going to be any dwarves at all. And it was just going to be this like band of thieves, of which there were 7.
Yep.
That were part of essentially they're thieves, but they're like revolutionaries.
Right.
They're
Chaz.
They're Antifa, yeah. So
Chaz activists.
But they're like, yeah, they're basically Antifa. So enraged. Let me see, where was I? Because I wrote this down.
Yeah.
So she then encounters the 7 dwarves. So they just threw that in there. Because they had to put the dwarves in the movie, which were obviously like they literally lived in a place called the Uncanny Valley. You can't make this up. Like that's like in the movie. They live in a place called the Uncanny Valley. Yes, they do.
Remember,
I wouldn't be. Oh, go ahead, Toasty.
I was gonna say, remember that picture that they put out where it didn't even look like 7 dwarves? There were literally 7 hipsters from Brooklyn.
Yeah, there were like 7. Those are the thieves. Those characters are in the movie.
Yeah.
They just changed them to something else, and they threw the dwarves in there just so that they would be in the movie because they got backlash for the 7 diverse, you know, Antifa members.
Right.
Yep.
And if I could be so bold, I speculate they call it Uncanny Valley as a way to, as I was just mentioning with the last story, to muddy the waters. And so when somebody starts talking about like the Uncanny Valley of the grotesque dwarves that they ultimately eventually put in, so, you know, those
It could be like, oh, we knew that.
Yeah, they'll be like, no, yeah, they had the Uncanny Valley in the movie, and
it's literally I meant to be
shut their brain
retarded.
off to right.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's I meant to be retarded. We did this on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. So they run into the dwarves, and it is the same. They're CGI versions of Bashful Doc, Dopey, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, and Sneezy. Unlike the original, these dwarves are not minors, but quirky forest dwellers who reluctantly aid her. So they don't even go. There's the Hi Ho song is not in there. Like, which is like, what isn't that the most iconic song from the original?
That or
Hi-ho.
Someday My Prince Will
Hi-ho.
Come, one or the other. But I'd say Hi Ho.
No, Hi Ho is definitely the most iconic, even more than Someday My Prince Will Come. Which, of course, they can't do that song.
Right, that's not in there either.
No. But they got rid of Hi Ho as well because, you know, I guess working is bad. I mean, I don't know. The dwarves don't have jobs. So
I mean,
they live in a
leftists hate
cottage.
working, so that makes sense.
That's right. They do. Okay, so they aid her. Snow White, driven by her parents' teachings, convinces Jonathan, who's like not the leader, but he's one of these rogues. He's one of these like Antifa people, which of course is hot to her, but we can't have her be too attracted to him because that's patriarchy and that's not allowed. But she is, you know, he has to prove himself, and then I don't know. But they're trying to figure out how to do a love story without doing a love story.
Yeah.
So the Jonathan and the dwarves, she convinces them to help her liberate the kingdom. A key moment is their duet, A Hand Meets a Hand, which sparks romance and shifts Jonathan's outlook from self-interest to hope. So he's not doing it for her, he's doing it for the cause, you see. Like a good male feminist. The queen, disguised as a hag, tricks Snow White with a poison apple, sending her into a death-like sleep. However, However, instead of the prince's kiss, Jonathan and the dwarves rally the villagers in a rebellion against the queen's forces. During the uprising, the revolution, Jonathan's declaration of love and Snow White's own resilience, symbolized by her necklace, awaken her.
Sakes.
Oh my God. You can't make this up. Yeah. Oh God. So the necklace, this, you know what this is? This is Frozen.
Mm-hmm. Of course it is.
You know, did you ever see Frozen, Toasty?
Yes.
Let it go, let it go. What did you
So
think
so I remember that so the little sister, and I believe, gets
Yeah.
frozen, and they said to her the only way she could wake up is true love's kiss, right? But
Yes.
it's not even the guy, the blonde haired guy, that clearly they had a thing for each other, but like, you know, they tried not to show it, but it was her sister's kiss that
Yes.
broke the spell instead.
Yes. Yes. Now, what did you think of that? Because I know a lot of people, when I pointed that out, that I was like, they're moving away. I mean, not only that, but like they were basically coding Elsa as a lesbian for like the whole movie, and also, in the original story, like that's the villain of the story. Like that is the Ice Queen or whatever. She's like super evil.
It's the reason the term Ice Queen exists, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like that's where that comes from. But what do you think about Frozen, Toasty?
I didn't hate the movie. I liked the movie, but like you could see, you know, them trying to sneak their little leftover
It was
shit in there.
covert in that one. I'm
Yeah,
assuming
like-
this is more overt.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I mean, when you look back on it now, do you feel like you didn't like? Did you not notice it then? Did you not think anything of it, or you just thought it was a nice twist?
So I thought it was like, oh, true love. I guess it doesn't necessarily mean romantic love, right? But then they started saying, yeah, like with Elsa being a lesbian, and that's why she doesn't want a king or marry anybody, or she doesn't even want her sister to whatever. I mean, yeah, I could see it now.
She's so gay that her sister can't even be involved with men.
I mean, they do end up getting them together, but the whole time, like that character, the love interest, the man, I forget, I don't even remember his name. He is like such a loser, like for like the whole movie.
Kristoff,
He's just
I think that's his name.
Kristoff. Yeah. He's like this. I mean, they try to make him like endearing and dopey, but he's just like a young Homer Simpson.
Yeah, he's a
like
dummy.
The whole movie.
He's a dummy.
Yeah. They
Goofy.
write him as
Like
a dummy.
the white guy is goofy. The white straight guy is goofy, and Elsa is this beautiful, powerful woman that doesn't need a king. She can run the what do you call it, the palace herself, and
she creates it from nothing. Oh no, I mean not like the she makes like a whole ice castle, right?
Such a boss babe.
Yeah, that's an ultimate. I mean, it's wish fulfillment. It's insanity, but yeah, that's how they present it. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, if you look at Frozen as like as a potential starting point, you can see how we got here. Because this is like it's always a series of little things, little steps, and after a while, you'll notice the pattern. And remember what the target audience is. It's not. I mean, granted, there's like people are not having as many kids as they used to, so maybe they're starting to aim these at like older age groups. But I mean, this is like family entertainment, and the values that are being presented don't reflect the values that Disney used to have. And Walt Disney did not like Hollywood. He did not like Hollywood at all. So
I mean,
there's good reason for it.
Can I go back even further with this? What about like I believe what movie was that? Mulan. They took out the guy, right? So she ends up, she's strong and everything, but she still likes him. She still in the cartoon, she likes him, loves him, and they love each other. And they just completely took him out of the live action one. It was just her.
100%. All those Silver Age Disney movies were already very progressive for their time.
Yeah.
Like Little Mermaid, the original. I'm talking about the original Little Mermaid. You mentioned Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, Pocahontas. Woof, Pocahontas was like, I think that almost killed them. That's why they had to take a break after that one. Yeah, like they were already going there, but they were just like a lot less so than now. So you're right. It is worth going back further to look at that.
Or even Brandy, Cinderella. I believe that was in the 90s where she played Cinderella and she's a black woman. And then the prince was an Asian. The mom was fucking Whoopi Goldberg and the father was a white guy.
Wow.
Yeah, no, this is part of the reason why I've been telling people, like, I know everybody now the rage is like, tell people cancel Disney Plus, but I've been telling people that, Disney's been a piece of shit for at least 30 years because it hasn't even been the Disney company since the mid-90s. It's been the Buena Vista Corporation, and it's just masquerading the Disney logo around and bandying about like a skin suit like we see with so many other things. And so, yeah, like Toasty's right. This stuff goes way, way back. They were like the innovators of a lot of this fuckery. That
well, remember, Walt Disney did a lot of, when he was alive, he was doing a lot of anti-communist cartoons. You can find them on YouTube. Disney cartoons that were like overtly anti-communist. And I think that the communists got in. And that's what happened, and I think he was very worried about that. But yeah, now they run the business. So all right. Anyway, so let me see. So she gets saved by the necklace and the uprising of the proletariat against the bourgeoisie. And then in the climax, Snow White confronts the queen, who attempts a magical assault with the mirror's cryptic guidance. And this, by the way, the queen turns back to Gal Gadot at the end. So it's not, she's a hag just long enough to poison Snow White, and then she turns back, which kind of misses the point, because in the original story, the queen, in the original Disney version, I'm not talking about the original Grimm's fairy tale, in the original Disney version of the story, the queen making a decision to turn herself into a hag so she can kill Snow White is supposed to show the depths that she is willing to go to like remove the competition, even if it turns her into an ugly hag. So it was like it was implied that it was irreversible and that she was doing this and that was it, right? Or maybe she'd figure out something like later, I don't know. And she dies because of like, it's almost always the Disney villains. They, a lot of times, at least the old ones, they undo themselves. They kill themselves. Yeah. Like in most cases, not. I think in Sleeping Beauty, the prince, he fights the dragon and kills it. Which is fucking awesome, by the way. It's like one of my favorite. That's my favorite Disney movie.
That and Sword in the Stone. There's
Sword in the Stone is good. Yeah, but yeah, I don't think anybody dies in that one.
No. I can't say the name of what's her name? The sorceress.
Madman Mim.
Yeah.
Mim
turns into when she turns into the dragon, there is like and
then Merlin turns into bacteria and gets her sick, but she doesn't die. She's just.
But you're right. In most cases, they get so greedy that it fucks over and it backfires on them.
Yeah. In most cases, I mean, like, and most of the time they undo themselves with their because they become so like obsessed with like winning or whatever, and they make a mistake. So, okay, but so the Snow White confronts the queen, who attempts a magical assault with the mirror's cryptic guidance and the dwarf support. Snow White outwits her, leading to the queen's demise. And what she does is she talks to the soldiers of the queen and reminds them of when they were like, because they turn into soldiers for the queen, but they were citizens that like, were farmers and like workers and stuff. They were workers and then they became soldiers. And then she reminds them of like, oh, remember when we were communists and you were just giving me your cherries? Remember that? Literally that. Like, you were a cherry farmer. Do you remember giving me your cherries? And then it like shakes them out. Oh my God, right. This is the enemy is here, the fascist.
Right. Now, I know that you're actually appreciating, like, having this rank and honor and everything like that that goes with being, like, a soldier here and everything like that. But don't you want to just give me your cherries?
Yeah, don't you just want to work underneath the hot-ass sun in the fields for me, peasant, instead?
Yeah. Right.
I was like, no, bitch. I'd rather work for the queen.
Right.
There's a some of the new songs that are in here. One of them is, let me see. Well, the one that stands out is one that's called "All Is Fair." So, yeah, I think you know what that means.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Snow White. It sounds like shit. I don't know how well it's gonna do. What do you guys think?
Abysmal. But I'll let Toasty speak. She knows far more about this and Disney in general than I probably do. So go ahead, Toasty.
I haven't even seen the movie yet, and I already know it's like hot dog shit underneath the blazing sun in a summer
Yeah.
day. So
100%.
I'm still gonna watch it just to make fun of it by myself, laying in bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna pay money for this crap. I never do, actually. I just go on the website and I watch movies because entertainment in Hollywood is just gross nowadays. Like, everything's garbage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna get worse too. But before we get into it, I guess let's get to the reason why you're here. I also want to look at adolescence later, like after this. But let's get into what happened with you guys on your stream regarding your channel and Alyssa Mercante. So I'll let Toasty give me this story.
Yeah,
I
by all
don't know.
means, Toasty.
Spill the tea,
You're the
please.
lead. You're the lead in this story. So go ahead.
So we were just okay. So we was just finished doing a segment of Alyssa Mercante where I have this thing where it's like Detective Toasty and I look through her socials, and I think we got finished doing that or around that time.
We were about 2 hours in.
2 hours in, yeah. And then I got notified. I don't know who it was. Who notified us? Was it Jay?
I got that. I had that weird chat. Yeah, because like there was that weird chat, and I'm like, what does this mean? The easiest report I've ever done. I didn't even I read it, and I'm like, I didn't really register it, and I kind of was like, whatever that means. And I think it was Jay that gave us Jay Viper gave us the heads up that it was actually happening because of what was going on. That's what spawned as made us kind of start saying, oh, well, I guess this is what the show is going to be about today. But I think it was Jay, if I recall.
And some of the chat was say, hey, she's making comments about you, Toasty. She's just like going off on her social medias. You may want to check this out in real time, by the way. And I guess she was watching us because she literally has screenshotted.
Why you? I wonder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go
well, this is actually the third time we've had an encounter with her in 6 weeks or so since June. I think. Sorry, it's not June, but since February 2nd. I think that was the first time she showed up.
Yes. So twice before that, she showed up in the chat twice, but the third time was her lurking at my live stream and screenshotting and actually posting it on her social media, saying, oh, report her. She keeps on harassing me and all this and that and blah, 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 and making lies about me and making fun of me. And then she harasses me by going to my social medias and talking about what I post publicly. That's me adding that, by the way, because you're public, you're a public figure. So why can't I? First of all, Alyssa, I don't lie about you. I literally just tell people what dumb shit you post on my live streams. I don't make shit up. I go based on what you literally comment yourself and post yourself, what you put out there, and you don't like that. You know what I mean? And like the chat was just like, yeah, she's going insane. She's unhinged. You may want to check this out. And then we were looking through, and then John,
it's pretty interesting. Yeah. She referred to me as she said, Toasty. She says she has a man. A man.
Oh no!
A co-host.
Oh, no. Heaven forbid, a man?
She has a man co-host that says disgusting shit.
Oh,
right. No. Believe me, I'm gonna make a T-shirt of it. It's one of the. It's like, dude, thank you for saying that I'm based, because what I was basically going on about was stuff I was telling you earlier, where she has commented quite callously about her many abortions that she's had, and she this third time legitimately sent people to our channel, and in what she would consider an organized harassment campaign, specifically because she sent them there to report Toasty's channel and to basically white knight for her and tell us how wrong we were. And so we got into it, at least I did, because generally on Toasty's show, she's of course the head there, and I run the buttons on the chat, generally speaking, and just kind of like, go through, keep track of all this kind of stuff, everything like that. But like I said, this one person came in and talked about it was the easiest, report they would ever be doing. I was like, and then once I was like, oh, hold on. And I went back to that chat and I was like, oh, so this guy's here he's a white knight, male feminist that got sent here, on behalf of Alyssa to do her dirty work. And his name was Quinn. So I started immediately calling him Quim, because he was nothing more than like a vacuous pussy that was sent out to do Alyssa's bidding. So we had like a real time back and forth with her army of orbiters that were sent in to basically infiltrate Toasty's channel to ostensibly undermine the entirety of her case that she has against Smash JT currently, because she's conducting in the exact same things that she would want to be looked at as evidence for how she is being quote unquote harassed. And it's kind of like, and every time we encounter, we always try to give her legitimate good advice about it. Like, and even this time, it's like, the mentioning was like, you do realize you undermine your case when you go and you do this kind of stuff. And this is why we tell her it would be her best interest to get off social media. But she says that when we tell her that, we're not actually giving her good advice. We're trying to, basically make her not welcome in the space. And it's like, you can be welcome in the space, because the internet's a pretty wide, vast fucking ocean. If we, if tens of people on the internet are talking shit about you and you write bylines for Rolling Stone, it's a nationally propagated magazine, international renowned at this point in time. Not saying the quality is good, but it's been known for decades. So at this point in time, if you think that you're going to get hired on as a full-time employee to Rolling Stone or anywhere of prominence, and the only thing you can do to drum up engagements on your articles that you write is to go and kind of do this kind of shit so that you can get people, because on the internet, a dislike is as good as a like. And so I assume that really that's what a lot of this stuff is about. She just put out an article this week, and 6 weeks ago when she showed up on her channel, she had just put out an article then. And her next article that she's planning on putting out is going to be about harassment, at GDC and all the kind of stuff. Like, she's just constantly spinning. And so she's trying to use Toasty as a way to craft a narrative so that she can legitimize her case, she thinks, even though if she actually had good qualified legal counsel, they would have told her to shut the fuck up a long time ago. Mm-hmm. But she has queerified legal counsel. We affectionately call him Marilyn Transon. Because of the obvious. And she's a complete and utter clown show, but we were just people that were simply just doing streams. And 6 weeks ago, she decided that she was going to make Toasty her arch nemesis, and has been going after her basically as a proxy for Smash JT. And all this time, it keeps getting weirder and stranger as the weeks go by. And when we broke her brain last Wednesday, she has gone so far off the deep end that I now have a campaign because, I was like, I told her last week when she showed up that time that it wasn't even going to do anything good for me. But now that she's sending orbiters, I started a campaign immediately that night. I got 11 new subs to get me over 300 on my YouTube channel. And have at this point in time effectively gotten 30 since then, increasing my my sub count by 10%. And so I'm now running this campaign with her added in my campaign on why people should do this, to show her the Streisand effect in real time and piss her off even further. So I will also drop a link to my YouTube channel if anybody out there is not yet subbed. If you'd like to be so kind and piss Alyssa off by giving me some more support, there's the link.
Honey Badger, do you have an X?
I do. My ex is at Badger Arcade.
Badger, can I send you some so you could see like
Some things that
Like,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Do it.
screenshots.
Do it.
Badger?
I gotta
Arcade.
open it on
Yeah.
I gotta
Is
open
it
up
Honey
my,
Badger Arcade? Badger
no,
Arcade.
there's no room for Honey Badger Arcade, so it's just Badger Arcade.
Oh, that's your app.
Yeah, at Badger Arcade. Yeah, the channel's called Honey Badger Arcade. Yeah.
Okay, see, that's
Sorry.
what I meant.
Oh,
No,
my bad.
No. I got you.
And
Follow
I
me.
think my DMs are open too.
Yeah.
So you should
And if
be
you
able
can't
to
give it to
just
him
send
directly, I can
So-
send it there. But
or you could repost at me or whatever, like your
Yeah.
post.
Check this out. So this is from me making like content about Alyssa and the amount of subscribers I've been getting because of what she's been doing to me. And then here's a link of all the
crazy posts.
crazy posts right here. So you can see all that.
Where'd you put it?
Oh, I sent it to you through the DM.
Through in my
X.
X.
in XD. Oh, I see it. Yep. Okay, I have to accept.
And
I
so
will accept. Should I block this person, guys? Okay.
And so- and when you read those, one of them says she's openly admitting to reporting me multiple times and every other person that has been on my panel or that I affiliated with. So she reports everybody multiple times.
All right, let me put it in here real quick. Hold on.
Yes.
I can
Modern
look at it.
journalism, integrity. You know.
All right,
Great
I'm
pass.
sharing this screen. Old Man Grim, this is the thing that you sent me.
Yep.
YouTube, more evidence over on Blue Sky of her calling for people to falsely report Toasty Mosty 6969 stream, as well as folks saying they have already joined in her false flagging campaign. Alyssa Mercante, I have asked her to, this is on Blue Sky?
This is on, is it a blue?
I
no,
think this
I
got
mean,
posted 2x, but originally it was from Blue
It's
Sky.
Blue Sky because
That's what I'm saying. This is a screenshot. These
Yes.
screenshots are from Blue Sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I have asked her to let me come chat to see if I can dissuade her from being so disgusting toward me. She refused. She has a male host who says disgusting shit too. They
That would be me.
denigrate trans folks, queer folks, and others. She dances to German music in a bra while wearing a Hitler mustache. Wow.
To be fair,
You-
that is a eyelash, and it's an eyelash dance.
She had a man on who pretended to be Alyssa Mercante's aborted fetus, calls me a murderer, spreads lies. It's disgusting. I reported her, but YouTube is horrible at enforcing terms of service. This is clearly targeted harassment. Reporting her and the people she uses to farm content, like Old Man Grim, the guy who shared this, on
Right.
X does nothing because that site is a lost cause. At least I have a chance on YouTube. Please know I've reported tons of people in this circle of disgusting hate. A good idea, Reovan says, a good idea would be to also get the YouTube team on X to see this. Oh shit. And get more people also to join in. It doesn't work all the time, but it has a good chance to. I've personally seen it happen with a higher degree of success than waiting on YouTube site moderation.
So they are conducting a targeted harassment campaign, according
Yeah, it's
to
almost
Alyssa.
like yes. And you have in the last 28 days, you have gotten 200 subs. Is that right? Am I
Yeah.
reading that correctly?
Yeah,
Okay.
and probably even more now because I'm still getting people to subscribe to me today.
Mhm.
So
Wow. Well, I guess it's backfiring as always. The Streisand effect is real, guys. I'm gonna read the rest of these replies. The Devil Prince. These posts are on Blue Sky. That's what I meant when I was asking about that.
yeah,
Fucking gross. Sorry you have to deal with these stalkers. Stalkers said the people who are like, go to her YouTube and do these things. Go to
Right.
YouTube and tell them to get you. She has so many videos on you. Why is she so obsessed? Says the guy with the furry, fucking poorly drawn furry profile picture.
Right.
Kavi says, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was about to say, well, Alyssa's super obsessed with Smash JT, but no one ever says anything on Blue Sky about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course not. That's their hive mind. That's their safe
They know.
space.
This is literally like, this was going on Twitter when it was called Twitter 10 years ago, 2014, 2015. Actually still well into like up until Jack Dorsey left, with a group of people that worked at Twitter behind the scenes called Crash Override Network, led by Zoe Quinn, specifically for shit like this, where they would, but the difference is that this time you have a separation of people over on Blue Sky, and they're over there in their hug box trying to figure out ways to attack people like you. And they're cool. This is exactly what happened with Crash Override Network, except back then they actually had Twitter. That's why so many people were banned off of X. And now that Elon Musk has bought X and allowed a lot more free speech, I wouldn't say absolute, but a lot more free speech than what Twitter has had historically. These people they think that it's the worst thing that ever happened. Like there's no moderation. There's no moderation on these websites. You mean people are allowed to speak freely and maybe they're going to say something you don't like?
Right.
Like, do you remember that old meme of the guy saying, how the fuck is online harassment real? You know, close your eyes, nigga. Go outside. Leave just go outside.
Mhm.
These people don't go outside. Though.
Right.
No, they
See,
don't.
that's the thing. Like Blue Sky's effectively a whisper network where they just speak out loud into the ether. You know.
I hope these folks have to deal with the FO part of fuck around and find out sometime in life. Reported, sorry you got to deal with this nonsense. I have a feeling these are orbiters that want, for some reason, they want a piece of Alyssa Mercante. And those are like, look, dude, my job is to defend men, but those guys are the hardest ones to stand up to for,
No,
you know, like in
they're
terms
woke white women.
Well,
they just happen to be the shape of a male body.
I mean, yeah, but here's the thing, like, with these people, I think it was like a story recently. You guys, do you know who Harry Sisson is?
Yes.
Yes.
We were doing a story about him just the other day. We were calling him Heron Sissy.
Actually, he was part of the title of the same.
We were actually, that was the first thing we talked about that night, actually.
Yes.
So like Harry Sisson had a bunch of allegations come out, right? And I mean, like a lot of it looks like, you know, pretty legitimate. So I'm not going to be dismissive. However, this is the thing with male feminists, okay? Male feminists tend to be sneaky fuckers, right? They use their desire to protect women as a way to get closer to women. And I think it's like bad advice, a bad way to go about shit. Although on the flip side of that, feminist women are way more likely to take any social interaction as potential harassment because of how much they fear and loathe men. So it's kind of like, it's not a one-way street. Harry Sisson may very well have been like someone who was a habitual line stepper in some way, but those women were probably the kind of women you don't want to be talking to anyway, because they're likely to call you a harasser or whatever. So this is like, it's not as simple as, you know, male feminists are predators. It's not that simple, because female feminists are false accusers too. Right. So there's exactly. It's like Harvey Weinstein, which I bring up a lot. Everyone acts like he was just this absolute monster, but no one takes into consideration that all of these women in Hollywood were worshiping at his feet when they won awards before the allegations came out. It was almost like they wanted to do shit with him because they wanted to do stuff to make to advance their career. And when it became expedient for them to make allegations, they did, and then they memory hold the idea that they were actually willing participants. Oh, you know, there was a reason why we thought of there was once upon a time we used to think of actors as on the same level as prostitutes.
Right. But the point we were making when we were on our show that day, because yes, there is accountability on all sides of issues like that. Absolutely. Specifically. Yeah, however, what we were saying about Harry Sisson is he seems like the type, and we were also talking about large YouTube creators in general. Is that they will generally use that clout. They'll generally use that clout as a way to, go fishing. It's like fishing in a barrel, right? And so like they'll troll their audience for women that seem vulnerable or exploitable, you know, and more willing, you know, like a little bit borderline, and are willing to kind of like, you know, fold on stuff like that. So you know, like. I guess, you know, more information will come out with Harry, it seems, you know, in his specific, situation.
Yeah.
But I think that there's like, you know, it's not either clear cut one way or the other. There's definitely a lot of, hands involved on not only accepting, right. not only
Yeah.
accepting those invitations, but also in the making of them. And so like, yeah, there's it's murkiness on all sides, but still, you know, like
Oh, no, I mean, like, I'm not saying that Harry Sisson doesn't deserve to get shit either, by
Right.
the way. Like, he should, because he's the guy who's claiming that, you know, like, the election of 2024 was a loss for women everywhere, and that they're all
Right.
like, you know, the Handmaid's Tale is coming and all this other bullshit that, you know, that Trump was like accused. This is like actually a good example. That woman who accused Trump of rape from like fucking forever ago, that was
Yep.
obviously crazy and drunk all the time. I forgot her name, but you know who I'm talking about? She was like the romance writer.
Yeah.
Some,
Oh.
like, yeah, you guys know who I'm talking about. I don't remember
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
name.
Yeah,
She like hit
vaguely, I
on
know.
Anderson Cooper and shit.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah,
totally get what you're saying. There's like
Yeah.
women that are quickly falsely accused of guys doing certain things. I think where we were getting at is that when you're a big YouTuber, or when you're a content creator with plenty of followers,
hmm
you pretty much, how can I put this? Those followers are going to believe most of the things you say because
Yeah.
they like your content, right? They're going to be like, oh yeah, you're right, and I agree with you, and I love your content, blah blah. And so for me, I know there are big content creators who are men or guys that would use that clout as a way to like DM girls and whatnot,
Sure. Absolutely.
or even make them mods and stuff just to like make them feel special, and then DM
Mhm.
them, and then
hmm
talk to them, and then do all that, like kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
100%. I'm
take
100%.
advantage of them. Yeah, but that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was.
No, I don't disagree. I think that's right. And yeah, I mean, like, obviously they're exposing their hypocrisy. What I would like to be able to do down the line, like one of the things I try to do when I make content on my other job, which is my main job at Honey Badger Radio, is I try to like at least advise men not to do that. Like,
Right.
don't be the male feminist ally because you think it's going to get you points with women, because it's just, first of all, it is shitty to do. Second of all, it's just going to paint the target on your back, because like you don't want the kind of women that you have to do that. You don't want to be with those women. Like
Right.
women like Alyssa Mercante, like feminist women. You want to stay far away from those people. You want like a decent women that has principles. You know,
Right,
like
right.
that, and then they exist. Like, I'm married one, so I know they're out there. But like, yeah, I want to advise men, don't look at guys like Harry Sisson as some kind of role model, which I don't think is true. Actually, my friend from Honey Badger Radio, Karen Strawn, she said that the thing that she got the most out of it was that she realized that he's straight. So anyway,
Everyone is saying that like he's straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't believe that. Blah blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah. A lot of guys get like, you know, Oscar Wilde was married with kids and he was gay. So,
Mhm.
all right. Anyway, is there anything else about this story that I should know, Toasty, before I move on to the next thing?
Just the fact that I've gotten plenty of support from it, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
it completely backfired. Because I mean, even
Yeah.
myself, right now, I even gained 2 more subs since we started this show.
Sweet.
So yeah, so like
Congratulations, John.
it just keeps you know, she keeps rake stepping her way through this insanity. And you know, like I encourage it at this point in time, because you know, like I'm on my way to actually, you know, like I said, the goal is to get, I basically have to double up my subs, but I think I can actually ultimately end up with more. And I've never really been driven by subs, but because she's doing this stupid thing where she came into YouTube about 2 months ago, she started her new YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and she has about 600 subs overall. And like, this is how our whole escapade began. Was she was doing really bad content. She was doing stuff. She was doing Twitch streams, and then she would go and put the VOD over on YouTube, and the audio was atrocious. It was completely terrible. And so we were commenting on, you know, how, like, you know, this person, because she is a quote unquote national journalist, you know, whatever, like she's got all this going on in her head. She thinks she's going to come in, she's going to show us all how it's done, and how, like, you know, like she'll be the best person who ever YouTubed, and she doesn't even know how to do technical things appropriately. Like, the most important thing on any YouTube channel first thing you'll hear from anybody is you have to have good quality audio. You could be like, filming yourself from a potato, or just be even like a simple graphic image on the screen. But if you don't have your audio there, nobody's going to stick around. This is radio with pictures, basically. And so like that was the thing that first, amongst a few other things, brought her to Toasty's doorstep 6 weeks ago, when I effectively told her, because every time I encounter Alyssa or one of her miscreants, I do try to pass along actual good advice, or sound advice in this instance, when I told her to fix her fucking audio. Because it's like you're not as good at this as you think you are, and you really need to reassess what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then she left it all alone, but she had just put out her first article for Rolling Stone at that point in time as a byline writer. And then a few weeks went by, and that first story that she put out, remember that game that just came out that takes place in the South, with the Black Witch?
South of Midnight. South of Midnight.
Yes, we talked about it. Yep. So yeah, so obviously she's doing this to try to drum up some engagements whenever she puts out articles. And so when she showed up the second time, she just put out the article about the influencers that were getting chased or stalked through an amusement park. And so I again, trying to give her good advice at the time, basically was telling her how you're a writer for the Rolling Stone. I'm a guy who doesn't even have 3 subs on anything, and I'm the person that you're, along with Toasty, like we're the people that you're interacting with more than anybody on the internet. And I'm like nothing. I'm insignificant, and I'm obscure, and I'm not even going to gain anything from you being here. That's how pointless anything from you actually is, right? And I've just largely left it alone, because I don't really, I don't go to her any of her anything. I don't care about it. It's like it's irrelevant to me. She's irrelevant to me, generally speaking. But now that she's actually openly trying to destroy Toasty's channel through whisper networks that are right out in the open and all this kind of stupid bullshit, and she's actively defying what's in her supposed court proceedings on why she feels she's been wronged. I'm just like, what? This is what you get. People find you more contemptuous than they do like me being problematic. And so
she has no interest in like conversation. These people never do. They just what they believe in is winning, and that's it. They hate your guts. So
exactly.
But,
which is
go ahead.
Let me put that real quick. Which is why the second time when she was begging to be on the stream, I said no, and I kept saying no. She's like, "Why don't you? You're a little irrelevant channel with this much people just watching you. Why don't you let me go up and talk to you?" And I'm like, because I don't want to, because I don't want to give you the satisfaction once
hearing yes again.
Yes, once I end this live for you to be like, yeah, I got her, or yeah, like I said what I have to say, or yeah, like I won this argument, but I don't want to give her that at all. And I knew if I kept saying no, she would be fucking mad and she would go to sleep angry. And this is what happened right after that. And this is I knew the shit was gonna happen. That's why I told her no. I wanted her to be angry.
Yeah, we've been playing her the entire time in a certain way, knowing that like she can't get past her own baseline reactions. Like she can't get out of her own way. She's her own worst enemy. And that's why me now saying, look, you being this asinine in what you're doing, I will mill it, and I'm gonna do it right in front of you. And I went and I gladly thanked her. I was like, hey, thanks for being the person that got me over 300. Because normally I wouldn't even care about this, but like if I can use this as a way to get closer to actually trying to get a monetized channel, wouldn't that be great? And maybe these people actually come and watch these other channels that I'm on. So hopefully, the whole idea is that I'm trying to take a positive from a net negative and show her that it will blow up in her face, and the very things that she doesn't want to get out of control, she's only set further from her grasp of actually being able to, because when she came on 2 weeks ago, to what Toasty was saying, we mentioned to her, we're not letting you on And I told her specifically, you write for, Rolling Stones. Everything that you're saying, I'm bringing right up on the screen. So it's not as though we're trying to censor you or just, like keep you from being part of this conversation, because we have no problem dealing with something in real time. But it's Toasty's show. So she has the right to dictate terms. It's her house. And being a writer, you would think that she would actually prefer being able to meticulously craft how she's presenting herself, rather than just having to freehand associate and, speak from the hip like we're doing, like we do on these shows. I don't think she's necessarily geared for that.
I think this would have happened. This would not have happened if I let her on that day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think if I would have let her on that day, she would have not gone crazy like she did, which I'm glad I didn't. Other people say they would have. That's not me. I'm not a debate channel. I'm a reaction live streaming channel, I guess. And I don't regret my decision at all.
Well, I think for the long term, it's actually the better move too.
I would have her on because I would fucking destroy her. But let's.
Well,
I mean,
that's the thing, though. Is I think
here,
that I know. I think we did destroy her, though, because if you look at the way that she's become completely unglued and unhinged this past week, she's effectively tanked her entire case if she hadn't already.
Yeah.
But with that said, I got to get going because I got to start getting ready for another thing.
I'll drop another link to Toasty's channel in the chat.
Honey Badger, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. And I'm always streaming myself almost nearly every day. So if you ever want to invite, just be like, yo, invite me. And I'll just shoot you a link, or John.
Yeah, just let me know. We usually do it 6 p.m. Eastern. Or 5 p.m. Eastern. Is it 5 or 6?
6.
Yeah, it is 6. Yeah, good for me. But yeah, you have a great day, Toasty. Get a hold of me if you need anything.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later. Have a good one.
Bye.
Try to at least get a piece of cake in before we go.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be cake. It's going to be it's going to be nasty. So this is the main thing I wanted to talk about, but I don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So I'll just try and keep it brief. But this is a trailer for the show Adolescence, which is a new show on Netflix.
Yeah.
And so
the
this
whitewashing.
is right. So I don't know if you know, but knife crime has been a big problem in the United Kingdom lately.
Mm-hmm.
And Adolescence was inspired by recent knife crimes that are happening. And this is what they have come up with. So let's look at the trailer for this. I'm just going to play the whole thing nonstop. They ding me. One of the things that's like a gimmick for this is that
Dad, I haven't done anything.
The major thing is that it's all done. Every episode is like a single shot. So,
Okay then. Jamie.
And I'm sure
listen carefully.
Very good actors in it and everything.
I'm going to start off with asking you.
Do you know a girl called Katie Leonard? Yeah? Describe each other as friends then.
Netflix is gonna Netflix.
Is she dead then?
Why would you ask her?
So do you think it would be okay if we speak about it? I haven't done anything. You're a good dad, a great dad.
He hasn't been found guilty. He's been accused. What have you done?
Banged by a girl, you sausage.
You're not getting it. What am I not getting? Dad, you're not reading what they're doing. It's a call to action by the manosphere. 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
Look how the black boy is the voice of reason here.
We've done nothing wrong, have we? Hey!
Look at me now!
It's crazy what your brain tells you to do when you're a kid.
I know that like some people who watch me on the other channel, Honey Badger live streams or Honey Badger Radio, know that I've already watched this trailer over there and talked about it in that context, but I wanted to bring it over here as well. I think that this is, again, we are dealing with serious propaganda here, and the reactions to the show, everyone is praising it mostly on the technical level, like that it's well acted, that it's well shot, that it's, you know, the quality of the filmmaking is really high, which I don't have any doubts of. I know that like that's likely the case, but that's not really my issue. My issue is the narrative that's being pushed in here. Okay. And is this trailer about the Doctor Who kid, or is this whitewashing another serial stabbing in the UK? Yes.
That's exactly what's going on.
Essentially, there's a bunch of stabbings happening in the UK. Guess what? It's not white kids doing it. Okay, but they have, and the police have literally, like, the police and the media of the UK have literally like altered the narrative to make it sound like this isn't happening from any specific group, with from any specific part of the world, with any kind of specific religious views or anything like that, and that it's just sort of like blanket. It's just men doing it, right? And of course, when you hear the UK government say this is something perpetuated by men, people are just going to think of Englishmen because it's men and it's England, but they're not white men, okay? But that's not really the main point. The main delivery of this, the real message is that it's about men in masculinity, right? That's being attacked. So I got one more thing to show that you guys probably haven't seen. And they literally mention the manosphere in the trailer. That's how you know that they're twisting these words around. They're making this about something else. What's happening in these areas is more likely a product of a couple of things: cultural differences, religious differences, but also family structure. There's a lot of like boys that typically, if you look in a prison and you see like the violent people who are in there for violent crimes, the men who are in there for violent crimes, 90-something% of them came from broken families, either fatherless homes, or they were raised by foster parents or something, but they did not have their biological parents, both of them. In this show, they show you this boy has both of his parents. So that is obviously being ignored. But they also show you in the trailer, and they suggest this, and I think this is what they're landing on, is that the reason why the boy killed a woman or a girl in his school, because that's kind of what they're suggesting here, is not because of any of the factors that I talked about. And it's got nothing to do with economics either. That's bullshit. It's just like, are your parents in the home? Are they married? Or at least are they working to stay together? Right? It's that the father is teaching the boy this. That's what they're saying in this adolescence thing. So they're literally being anti-father while ignoring the fact that missing fathers is the reason for this problem, which means that they have no interest in solving the problem. They only have an interest in controlling the narrative around the problem, but basically crafting this idea that this is where it comes from, okay? So let's top this cringe with bigger cringe. So this is The View talking about the show.
Oh, God.
Okay? So I haven't seen this yet, so we're gonna watch about a minute of this, and I'll just, I know it's like,
or until our ears start to bleed.
Yeah, I know. Let's go.
Number one series on Netflix right now is called Adolescence. It's about a 13-year-old boy accused of killing a female classmate. It's a disturbing look at the impact of toxic masculinity and culture of bullying. Take a look.
I haven't done anything.
I might fast forward past the trailer.
Yeah. Just get back to where these dumb
where these witches are talking.
Yeah.
This apparently is striking a chord with a lot of people. What struck you about it?
Well, I think the kind of focus on boys and men, which Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, just he announced that his administration would begin implementing targeted solutions to uplift our men and boys. And the statistics are shocking. Like, women are 15% more likely to get a
Not shocking if you've been paying attention.
Right.
So, okay, so I want to know how they're going to twist this, because it's true that men and boys are in need of help and support right now. That is 100% true.
I think they're going to start talking about women are more likely to be bullied and this and that. Does that include women bullying other women and all the other fucking bullshit?
Well, let's find out, I guess.
Yep.
I feel like they're gonna start by saying, here are all the problems that boys have, and then they're gonna say, and it's boys' fault or it's men's fault.
Right.
That's what they're gonna do, but let's see.
Four-year college degree, boys comprise 2/3 of the lowest 10%. The risk of suicide is 4 times greater for our boys and young men. Young men are 3 times more likely to overdose. Men in their 20s and 30s are more likely than female peers to live at home. It goes on and on and on that somehow along the way we've maybe left boys behind. And it, as Wes Moore reiterated, it does not mean we don't focus on girls and women and all the things. It's not zero sum. But this show captures the layers. It's not one answer. There's parenting, which the parents, this series is brilliant if you haven't seen it. But technology, social media, this manaverse or sphere or whatever it is, and this kind of coded language of how they speak to each other. It was eye-opening. It was gut-wrenching. It's.
But it seems like over the years that I've been on this planet, there have been plenty of bullying. I mean, they would bully me for wearing Bermuda shorts.
There we go.
I'm serious.
Who would bully you, though? Well,
I
no,
knew
but
Joy
who would bully
disappoint
you,
me.
Joy? Is it men or is it other women? Because I guarantee you got bullied by girls, not boys.
Right.
Yes.
No, but
Well, excuse me.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, dear.
No one gets between her and her
Right.
Bermuda shorts.
Maybe they should.
But we did not have social media in those days when dinosaurs roamed the earth. That is the difference, that these kids are getting bullied 24/7 online. And it's up to the parents to keep them off of that stuff.
Which is easier said
There
than
was
done.
a time when they would say, well, you know.
That's bullshit too. Social media is more media, yes, but it doesn't possess people's brains and make them do things they wouldn't otherwise do. So it's not that at all. Like basically, if you have involved parents that know what's going on, like my brother has kids, my other brother has kids, they're good with their kids and their kids don't use social media, not when they're not at their age because they're too little. So like I think that like just saying social media does this, that doesn't even, not only is it not really diagnosing the problem, it doesn't provide a solution. What do we do? Just like eradicate social media? That's not going anywhere.
Right.
Like we're all using it.
And I would also like to point out, I grew up in the 1990s as a kid in junior high and all that kind of shit. I graduated in 1999. So I can tell you for certain. I mean, the internet we had was slower, but there was GeoCities. There was all the things that there is now.
Yeah.
Like now, like we've got like the ability to stream and like things are in higher resolution, but the written word and like interaction aspect of the internet is at least 30 fucking years old. And on a public level, that is. Like I mean, I'm from a BFE nowhere space in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
And everyone in the I mean, by the time that we were in junior high, we were already like using BNC connection computers that were all rigged up to the internet. Everybody like learned HTML coding, all this kind of stuff. Like it has not as though this just arrived just a few years ago. Like they seem to think that the internet or that what they would like to project is that it began with the advent of broadband, and somehow that's the thing.
Yeah. Well, they're saying social media specifically, so they're talking about Facebook and Twitter and.
Well, I understand,
but those things were inevitable. And again, like you can prepare your children for that. Ultimately, you can't simply blame an abstract concept or like an abstract thing like the internet or social media when parenting is what it comes down to. And I agree with that. But here's another thing that adolescence doesn't even table in terms of a conversation. And unfortunately, people would say, well, it's not a documentary, but people are treating it like a documentary. They're literally saying it's basically a documentary, even though it is a show made up that involves a lot of lies and falseness about what the actual condition of boys and men is in the actual world, so that they can continue to pretend, essentially put their heads in the sand and pretend like this isn't an issue of knife crime committed by, Islamist terrorists or gangs that are fatherless or whatever it is, right? And it doesn't even they can't even make it apply in a way that is relatable to people in other parts of the world that also have a, you know, like a boy crisis that they don't want to address. That's why they're just blaming fathers,
Right.
which I think they're going to get into. I don't know if they're going to get into on this, but I think the show does.
Right. Well, the one thing I do also want to point out, though, is that this argument coming from people that, say that you should listen to little kids about what their gender identity is, but then you're supposed to actually be a steward and set parameters about, like, like online access. It's like, well, if you're going to sit here and like allow your kids to trans themselves, quote
Well, you
unquote,
shouldn't. I mean, I would say
I wouldn't suggest that you allow that doing that. Right. But what I'm saying is, like, when you're sitting here saying that that's acceptable, but then you're on the hook for what your kids do on the internet, it's kind of like, I think that maybe you might be like, misinterpreting, because there's a reason why I always point out to kids, like, people that kids don't have the same legal rights that anybody over the age of 18 does. They're under guardianship by their parents, or they're supposed to be stewarded into this world so they can learn how to discern and take care of themselves and this and that. And so, yes, it does fall under what you're saying, where it's like, if you do have kids and you don't want them to get caught up in the ills of social media and things like that, then you actually have to do a good bit of parenting. But a good bit of parenting is also not, just listening to your kids who you won't take their advice on this or that, but you'll allow them to completely assume an identity and all that kind of insanity coming from this group. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't see how they're going to do anything with this argument other than find a way to blame men specifically.
Yeah. Let's watch some more of the trailer.
Indeed.
Here we go.
Like, remember Carol O'Connor from All in the Family?
Yeah.
His son died of an overdose. I remember this. And he publicly said, keep your eye on your kids. Watch them.
Yeah.
Be on top of your children. It applies right now to what we're watching in this show.
You're absolutely right that the digital space is kind of the X factor here, because bullying, misogyny, harassment has existed for all time.
Right.
But there were certain social skills you developed in human interaction by being around other kids.
Misogyny. Oh, my God. So, yeah. This is, again, the female perspective. Oh, yeah, it was always bad for women. Before social media was bad for women. Now it's worse for women.
That helped you overcome those things. And now you have these young boys, they call it digital fentanyl. They're looking at an algorithm that when somebody's mean to them, more and more radicalizing content is getting fed to them to tell them to hate girls, to tell them to hate themselves, and they're turning to the darkest corners of the internet. That's why people like Andrew Tate have tens of millions of followers. Parents, I don't put it all on parents,
and where
but
are
they
they
need to know
so
what
concerned
their
about
kids
fentanyl
are
now,
doing.
and they think that George Floyd is a saint?
They don't think he was on fentanyl. They think he was choked up by a racist white cop that worked in his community for 10 years and then one day said, I think I want to kill a black man today because I hate them so much, even though I've lived here for 10 years and worked in this community. But yeah, I mean, like, she's just the Andrew Tate, like, we got to drop the Andrew Tate. Do you realize that feminism created Andrew Tate? Like, do you guys realize that you guys created that? And I don't even think that he's as bad as everyone says. I just don't. But because I think that it gets blown out of proportion on purpose so that people will say, well, I don't want to be like that guy. And then you don't even know what that guy has done that's so awful. But you just know you have to disavow him. And that puts you in a position where you're always in danger of becoming like him because you have allowed them to put you in that headspace of not wanting to be like him. Feminists created Andrew Tate, and Andrew Tate is helping young men. And the only thing that he's doing, apparently, is he's got some Hustlers University thing that kids can pay for so they can learn how to essentially be successful financially and then with women. They wouldn't do that if women weren't expecting men to be 6 feet tall, have six figures, have a 6-inch cock and a six-pack. They wouldn't be looking for that. So it's literally women's fault. It's literally women's fault that we are in this situation. And women are just going to continue to blame everything else, social media, men, patriarchy, history, whatever, except looking inward and say, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the problem.
It's princess syndrome. And this goes back to to bring up one of our earlier topics, Disney programmed young girls through and so isn't that part of this social media paradigm that we should be talking about how women have been brain fucked by media for decades now, to the point where they have all this expectation, and it's like I'm always saying that you know, it's better to have like a high level of talent, skill, and ability than a level of expectation or being, you know, ambitious. But like, you know, all these women's ambitions, like that's the main thing that they look for in life, and then everything else is just supposed to be given to them, you know, so they don't actually have to worry about having the talent, skill, and ability to get to places because, you know, like we're just supposed to like be nice and be kind.
Yeah. I want to respond to a comment really quick. Heavenly Jester says, to be fair, the cop had dozens of complaints, but I do believe that he was on fentanyl. You're talking about George Floyd. So couple things about that. One is George Floyd was definitely overdosed, and there's a documentary you should watch called The Fall of Minneapolis. You can find it on Rumble, and I highly recommend it. Or you can look on my channel. I watched it, I believe, on this channel a while back, like when it first came out. To confirm it, I watched the body cam footage when it initially leaked. I think it was just a couple months after the incident happened. So yes, he definitely died of a drug overdose. Like there's no question. It's just that the media and the family that suddenly came out of nowhere and gave a shit about George Floyd, that were looking to make a buck and looking to go on you know TV and whatever. They came out and said that they got their own doctor because you can't trust the white man's doctor to like diagnose how somebody died. And it worked. Like a lot of people believed it. A lot of people that I thought were smarter than they are believed it because they really wanted to, because of how much damage the riots did. As far as the complaints go, all I would say is that the existence of complaints does not suggest that those complaints are justified. Like it's like
the correlation is not causation.
Well, what I'm saying is like the people who filed complaints were probably people who this guy had to confront or pull over or something, right? So think about it. Like if I never have an altercation with Derek Chauvin, I'm not going to write a complaint because I don't have anything to complain about. But if Derek Chauvin caught me like on a DUI or something, then I could, because I feel like it, whatever, I could file a complaint. So filing complaints does not mean that those complaints are justified. I don't know. I think that it's worth looking into, but I just want you to think about that, because people say, well, he's got a bunch of complaints. Well, yeah, I'm sure cops get complaints all the time. That doesn't mean that those complaints are justified. It just means that they exist. It's like the thing that feminists say with regards to rape, okay? They'll say that rapes don't get solved because look at all of these rape kits that were never used, or look at this data. The thing is that the reason why the rape kits don't get used is because most of the time these women don't follow up on their allegations. So those things don't end up getting used. And why would they not follow up? I don't know, but they don't. And that might be because the rape didn't happen. I mean, like there's a lot of let's say there's a lot of
false reporting.
Yeah, there's a lot of false reporting. There's a lot of cause for women to lie because there's no consequences. The other thing is that rape kits don't even prove rape happened. The only thing that a rape kit can prove is whether sex happened.
Right.
Because like you can't prove intent with a rape kit. Like you literally can't. So again, these things it's very easy to distort this stuff to paint a certain picture. So all I will say is, again, I know about the complaints, but I don't think complaints mean that those complaints are justified. And definitely was on. He definitely overdosed on a cocktail of a bunch of shit that he put in his mouth when the cops pulled him over. Which, by the way, if you watch The Fall of Minneapolis, you will also know that Derek Chauvin didn't even show up on the scene until several minutes after a bunch of other cops showed up there first. So there were other police before he came. And anyway, I don't want to like distract, but there's way more to the story than what people are told.
On their phones and on social media.
Yeah, that was the biggest takeaway for me. I watched the series as well, and it's multifactorial, because you do have to be a parent and you have to watch and make sure that you're guiding your kids in the right direction. But what was really striking to me was how mean the children were being to each other, and how it was being glorified and it was being multiplied by social media. I mean, for all the good that comes from social media, like the Arab Spring that we always talk about, and the interconnectivity that you can have. It was really tough to watch.
And
Okay, I guess they didn't really.
Let's
get
not
into
put this
anything.
all on the girls, okay? Because girls always seem to take the brunt of, you're not doing this for me, you're not being. There's a whole lot of stuff going on with our youth, and we need to pay better attention.
What? Let's not put it on the girls. Literally, the show is putting it on boys. What are you talking about? All right, let me show you guys a couple more things really quick. So because this is what is really matters. I'm afraid my show is going to be a little longer than normal, but Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, made a statement saying that this show, he's going to refer to it as a documentary. So they're not even like pretending. Now they're just telling you, like, hey, I know this is fictional, but I'm going to pretend it's real, and I'm going to make you watch it. And he says it should be shown in schools. Okay.
Children. I've got a 16-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl. It's a very, very good documentary to watch, or drama. Children.
So he's calling it a documentary.
Right.
Okay. And Nobafan says, notice how she never acknowledges what girls do without putting the blame on the boys. Yes, of course. So that's Keir Starmer, who's destroying your country, by the way, Brits. And then another thing that I think is a worthwhile stat. This is Allison. I work with her at Honey Badger Radio. She says, for every one film depicting a boy killing a girl, there should be 200 films depicting a boy killing himself.
Right.
Because that's actually the majority of things that happen, is that boys just commit suicide. Like that's like that's the thing they don't want to talk about. And when you make them talk about it, you know what they do? They pivot to toxic masculinity. Oh, it's because they're not talking about their feelings enough. No.
Right.
Boys and girls heal differently. If he had a father in his life from the beginning, there'd probably be a significant reduction. But we can't have that because the state benefits from single motherhood ultimately, right? So and that was and it's evil. Yes, it is. It's evil for them to pretend like this is a boy problem. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to share that. Oh, here's another thing that should probably have a Netflix series named after it. Here's a story of an Indiana teacher that raped her students.
New tonight, more teenage students in Morgan County are now coming forward, and they're accusing a former teacher of sexual misconduct with a minor. Ashton Hackman is in Morgan County to explain.
Is there another word for sexual misconduct with a minor? I feel like there's a word for that.
I believe, God,
I think we have a word for it. I don't know what it is.
It escapes my mind right now, but I think it rhymes with grape.
Yeah, or spedophilia. I feel like
I
feel like there's a word
it's
for
somewhere.
it.
Yeah, you're right. I can't quite place it because I don't have a map handy.
Yeah,
but
Explain why the prosecutors are now looking to bring even more charges against this woman.
31-year-old Brittany Fortenberry has been held here at the Morgan County Jail since her arrest last month on charges of sexual misconduct with a minor. Since then, 5 new victims have come forward with additional allegations.
Prosecutors have asked to file up to 24 additional criminal charges against her, including 10 counts of child molesting, sexual misconduct with a minor, and 13 other charges for disseminating material harmful to minors and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Court documents say all of the teens reported Fortenberry would send them nude and explicit photos and videos on Snapchat and force them to have group sex at her Martinsville home. A child victim advocate says it's important for parents to feel comfortable having difficult conversations with their children.
And what we just encourage is that parents kind of ask that open-ended question and they give their children a chance to speak, and then they praise their courage at that time rather than asking them questions about what they did or why they didn't tell. The last thing that we want is a child to feel blame or shame as a result of making a disclosure.
Well, so yeah, that happened. And where's the Netflix series? Although, to be fair, if they did make a Netflix series, she'd be the main character and super duper empowered while she was, having her way with underage boys. But whatever. Anyway, I think I've gone way over time, so I'm gonna wrap it up here.
This is probably one of our longest episodes we've done, but
I didn't mean for it to go over, but
no,
it's okay.
I mean, like it was an interesting kind of like Brian had asked me yesterday to invite Toasty, and then of course everybody heard at the beginning of the show she thought she was going to be somewhere else right at this time, and of course they got the time zone wrong, so we kind of expected, I think, for a different show. And this is what we ultimately ended up getting. But really quickly, like you can always find me throughout the week over on Toasty's channel. Like I said, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific is generally the best time to look for us over there. Of course, tomorrow I'm going to be on Will the Fans' channel at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, doing what I affectionately call White Time Friends these days. And then we're also on Reality Based on Wednesdays and Fridays currently, doing the panel shows over there. It's gonna be getting shifted here in the future though, where it'll just be like one day a week where I'm doing that on Fridays. And let's see. Of course, here every weekend with you at this time. And so with that said, all I would say is safe travels ahead. Have a wonderful weekend going forward. Be awesome as always.
All right. Well, I'll probably be back shortly because I'm going to be doing a stream on this channel again in about an hour and a half with the guys at the Jamcast. We're going to be doing a discussion about writing. So that should be interesting. I hope you guys show up for that. And with all that said, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. I want to thank Toasty for showing up on my stream, and John as always. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture. And we will talk to you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse, because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.